Right, so now we're going to talk about economic growth. Economic growth can be defined as an increase in the value of the goods and services that an economy produces. Okay, yes, come take your stuff, doesn't matter. That's my son, he's going in for his bath, he's taking his towel. So, anyways, now again, economic growth is defined as an increase in the real value of the goods and services that an economy produces. It is extremely important to right now emphasize the word real in this definition and to understand the difference when talking in normal terms, okay, as an increase in the money supply could increase the nominal value without changing the real one. Okay, now how do we do this? We'll talk about it later. Right now, in economics, economic growth is usually measured by the percentage change in the growth or in the in the gross domestic product, that is GDP, which we're going to talk about in another video, of a country. Okay, so economic growth is usually measured by the percentage change in the GDP of a country. This variable gives us an idea on the growth of a determined economy, but not on its quality and its effects on welfare, which are closely examined by those who are concerned with the development of life quality as such. Now, when dealing with development economics, the focus switches to GDP on a per capita basis and focuses on the processes involved in the development of, let's say, low income countries primarily. Economic growth can come as a result of three principal phenomena. One is demographic growth, increase in the quality and quantity of natural resources, and also productivity growth. While demographic growth and increase in the quality and quantity of natural resources comes as a result of an increase in one of the productive factors, labor and capital primarily. In the latter one, which is productivity growth, with the same amount of factors, there is an increase in production, which as a result implies an increase in efficiency. Okay, so what happens is demographic growth and increase in the quality, demographic growth and increase in the quality and quantity of natural resources actually comes as a result of an increase in one of the productive factors, which is labor and capital, which are labor and capital. And in the latter case, that's in case of productivity growth, it is the same amount of factors that we've discussed right now, based on labor and capital. There is an increase in production, which will result with an implication as an increase in efficiency as such. Okay, so that's it. Although there are many growth models, for a matter of simplification, we will only name the main ones from which in any case the majority of the models derive from. One is the Tomorr model, the other is the Swan model, and the third is Ramsey Koopmans model. Now, these are all economists who teamed up to form these models. Now, in the first one, the Tomorr model, this model was deeply inspired by Keynesian mechanisms, which is known as Keynesianism. And it was concerned primarily with the persistence of situations that deviated from full employment. It postulated that there were measures to accelerate investment along with growth, which is why they advocated for government intervention policies. This was primarily the Tomorr model and how it was created and what it's based on. Then we have the Swan model. The Swan model. This model follows a neoclassical In economics, there is something known as classical, neoclassical, modern, postmodern, various types of classifications of economic thought. So this model, the solo swan model, uh, it follows a neoclassical production function of good behavior, but also considers, technological progress. It is practically, till now, it is practically advocated to be the best known growth model. Okay. And thirdly, we have the Ramsey Koopmans model, where this dynamic model is actually developed from the neoclassical model, and yet it is enriched without differing from the basics at all. The model also analyzes the optimal quantities of consumption and supply. Okay, so that's an add-on to the solo swan model. Keeping all the basics, it still analyzes more on the quantities of consumption and supply on a data system. And it is a more dynamic model than the solo swan model. The biggest increase in productivity throughout humankind has come from specialization, technological progress, and also education. A very big factor to productivity, increase in productivity, has been education itself. And you'll see, as time went by, even now, it's still a continual process where education or streams or fields have been broken down into further subjects which have themselves become streams and or fields in their own way, and they have been broken down into further fields and streams and subjects in some cases, where subjects are taking over from them being just a part of a stream to becoming a stream themselves. So, in fact, the increase in productivity has had positive effects, very much so, over demographic growth. It also led to increasing even more in economic growth. And as it occurred during the Industrial Revolution primarily, it allowed the population to escape the Malthusian trap. We call it the Malthusian trap. Now, we'll explain the Malthusian trap later, but just remember these terms, and these are just basic offline references to clear your doubts or any questions that you have. Okay.